What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. So we got some big news that is happening here in multiple different areas, including the housing and home market here that is happening because the Fed hasn't lowered rates. And I'll show you what is happening here, which is concern for pretty much all Americans here in the United States. I'll also show you the latest of what is happening here with tariffs, which is also a big concern here for, well, a lot of Americans here as well. So let's jump right in here. We are live right now here on the YouTube It's Jimmy Show. Let me know if you can see and hear me. Type yes in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. You can let me know your city, state, or even your country, as we have people tuning in here from all around the globe. Don't forget to hit that like button for me here. And if you haven't yet, subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future videos. I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here on a daily basis. If you haven't yet, subscribe and help me reach 500,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing here. Take a look here. Okay, because the Fed has not lowered interest rates significantly here, we're starting to see some cracks in the housing market. I'm going to show you two different things that are going on here. Number one, housing panic grips half of U.S. cities as record price cuts send home values tumbling. Yeah. Let me know if this is a good thing or a bad thing in the chat or the comments section down below. Home prices are falling in half of the nation's largest markets, a new report reveals, sparking fears that a housing crash is looming. Do you think we have a housing crash here coming in the near future? Let me know. Sellers are slashing prices at record rates to lure hesitant buyers, put off by soaring mortgage rates and economic uncertainty. And remember here that that is basically because interest rates have remained so high for so long and the Fed has not lowered interest rates. That's why lowering of interest rates is so important in so many different ways. Check this out. In July alone, 27.4% of listings had a price cut. The highest rate ever recorded in Zillow's monthly data going back to 2018. 27% of listings had a price cut. That's a lot. That's a lot. It helped push down prices year over year in 25 of the 50 largest U.S. cities. So basically, home prices are going down in half of all major U.S. cities. Half of the 50 largest U.S. cities have home prices going down. Most were in the South and the West. Wow. Florida and Texas in particular are home to former boom towns now where prices have fallen at the quickest rate over the past year. In Tampa, prices are down 6.2%, Austin, Texas 6%, Miami 4.6%, Orlando 4.3%, and Dallas 3.9% according to Zillow. Metros where price corrections are the steepest are among those with the largest increase in inventory compared to before the pandemic. So we're seeing large price drops and also large inventory, which does smell of potential large correction or crash. Let me know if you think that might be coming. That is what happens when we do see something like that. In the South in particular, the pandemic housing boom is now flipping into a bust as a result of too many homes being built, leading to supply outweighing demand. Although what is happening at Home Depot and with tariffs may change that. I'll show you that here in a second. All of the top 5 metros for price drops over the last year, except for Miami, are among the top places for home building permits between 20 and 2024. When demand for homes surged during the pandemic, builders were able to respond fastest in these areas because there were fewer land use restrictions. But these areas are now seeing a glut of inventory as homes flood the market, but buyers are not biting. In Florida in particular, homeowners are struggling to sell amid growing condo crisis and soaring insurance rates due to the threat of natural disasters. Prime cuts are more common in the South and the mountain region, according to Zillow, as homeowners desperately try to offload properties. Wow. Now, on the other hand, as you can see here, experts issue a warning over a growing crisis reshaping the U.S. housing market, a new reality. Well, number one is that when the Fed starts dropping interest rates, we could see a flood of new buyers go to buy homes, which could turn the tide on this. So we have that factor in play, which is a wild card. The other problem we're seeing is home insurance rates have skyrocketed across the United States, more so in some areas like Florida and California, which now where natural disasters are at play. And we're starting to see some people, some who I personally know, can't even get insurance or maybe have one insurance option and are literally paying through the nose for insurance, have seen dramatic insurance price increases because they live in either California or Florida, and they live in these, fire zones, or they live in these hurricane zones, and we're seeing these insurers say, a lot of them have just pulled out, and they're like, hey, we're not even offering coverage. And there's very few insurance companies that will even offer coverage, and the coverage they're offering are dramatically higher than they were paying, say, 5 years ago. In some cases, double, thousands and thousands and thousands more than they were paying 5 years ago. And you really don't have a lot of choice here unless you want to go uninsured, which you can't do if you have a mortgage. Yeah, so this is a significant problem for a lot of people, especially if you're on a budget, which is wild. So this is also preventing a lot of people from moving or trying to move, or even forcing some people to move from the area because they can't afford the insurance, which is, let me know your thoughts here in the comment. In fact, let me know in the comment section if your home insurance has gone up dramatically. This is also affecting renters because, if you're renting a home in these areas, and that's just baked into the cost, right? So, even though you might not be the owner, if you're in one of these high cost insurance areas, it's just raising the cost for renters, right? The homeowner, whether it's a corporation or an individual owner that maybe owns one rental property or a couple or something like that, they have to raise their rent, because if they're paying whatever thousands of dollars for home insurance, that's just part of their cost. So they have to raise their, the rent they're charging, the renter, because it's part of their cost. So this is also a significant problem. Now, lower interest rates will help everybody, renters and owners, because it lowers the costs for everybody. But that's a fine line, because if we see, a huge surge of people rush to the market when interest rates start to go down, that also could create the bubble effect again, where, home prices shoot up again. So yeah, you gotta let me know your thoughts in the comments. Some people might think, hey, it might be a good time to buy because home prices are actually starting to come down, but mortgage rates are high. So you can always, again, not advice, not financial advice for anybody because everybody has their own situation, but maybe some people are buying now in hopes to refinance in the future when rates come down. The problem is that refinancing can be expensive. Some banks have lock in a lower rate, where you just pay like a small nominal fee and you can just relock in the next lowest rate that they offer, like once a year or something like that. If they have shop around and see if they have that, because I had that and it was a really, really good thing where you could relock in the lowest rate. So as rates come down, you don't have to go through a whole refinance and pay, thousands and thousands of dollars and go through a whole refinance just to get the new lowest rate. Because, when rates drop every 0.5% or 1%, you really want to get that. But if you have to pay, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, who knows what, to get that rate, to go through a full refinance, it's not worth it a lot of times. So, yeah, if they have that rate relock feature, that's a really good way to do that. And the other problem is, some people want to move, but they can't because, they have those rates from, how long was that? 5 years ago or whatever, 6-7 years ago, where the rates were in the 2s or 3%. And now they're like, hey, if I move now, I'm going to get a rate that's 7% or 6-7%, whatever. I'm going to go from 3% to 7%. That's more than double. It doesn't even make sense. I'm going to pay $1,000 more a month in interest, or, whatever it is. It doesn't even make sense. So it's like, yeah, I would like to move, whether you want to, upgrade, downgrade, move to another location or what. A lot of people don't want to move because they don't want to pay the interest. They don't want to pay $1,000 more a month in interest. So all of this is the big concern here, and there's a lot of factors at play. Take a listen to this Home Depot video here, which is also another concern.
Higher prices at Home Depot. Until now, America's largest home improvement retailer had offered limited guidance on the impact of tariffs. However, the company's CFO told CNN that some of its prices could be going up because of the cost of the Trump administration's taxes on imports. For more, we're joined now by CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich. Tell us more about this, Vanessa.
Yeah, well, America's largest home improvement retailer cannot escape tariffs. As you mentioned a few months ago, they really were waiting and seeing, not really commenting on how tariffs might affect prices. But now we know they are going to have to raise prices on some of their inventory. Here is Billy Bastick. He's the executive vice president of merchandising. He spoke just moments ago on the earnings call about raising prices. Take a listen.
Some of the imported goods, obviously tariff rates are significantly higher today than they were when we spoke in May. So as you'd expect, there'll be some modest pricing in some categories, but it won't be broad-based.
And so here's a state of Home Depot's inventory right now. Less than 50% of the inventory they get from abroad. The majority they're getting from right here in the United States. But for a while now, the company has been aiming to diversify their supply chain so that one single country only produces up to about 10% of the inventory. That really helps move the supply chain around for the company. But look at Home Depot's stock price, up almost 4.5% right now. And that is because despite tariffs impacting prices, the company went ahead with their full year guidance. They didn't make any changes to that. In addition to Home Depot's stock price, there's been real earnings that have really boosted markets in the last couple weeks. And we're watching the Dow very closely right now. We are in record territory. This is the last U.S. index to hit a record this year. Investors have been largely putting the trade war more behind them and have been really focusing on these earnings. And Home Depot, despite announcing that they will have to raise prices, still really showing sort of a stable future for the company. Investors obviously like that. So that's good news this morning. We'll have to see if eventually at the end of the day, of course, Pamela, the Dow does notch that record. It'll be the first record of this year, the last one set in December of 2024, Pamela.
So this is raising prices for lumber and a lot of different things. That's Home Depot's not the only company to announce this. Walmart has, a lot of major retailers have, because, well, tariffs are just raising prices from imports that are coming in. It's not just, their store, it's literally millions of products. So I will keep you up to date here on everything. Make sure to share this video on social media and share this video with anybody that needs to hear this information. Subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future videos, and click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live with new videos. I will keep you up to date. Click here to see the Fed with their major announcement for millions of Americans, or click here to see Trump's new executive order, which goes into effect this week for millions of Americans. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.